you are going to direct a question directly at the incumbent, you'll be asked to relinquish the rest of your time so the incumbent can answer the question. Now, one question about heritage again. Main Street in Newmarket is a designated heritage district. The Historical Society wanted to ask the councillors if you feel that the heritage district is a benefit to Ward 5 or otherwise. This will be answered in the order Steve, then Anne, then Brad, then Joe.
Absolutely believe it should be a heritage site. It's Main Street, it's the main core, it's what first settlers came, the fur traders, Timothy Street, Main Street, and all the other areas of Ferry Lake. It's what identifies Newmarket. The only challenge with that, by designating a heritage site, is that you have a lot of property owners that will say, I don't have as much say on how I renovate, how I manage, or how I aesthetically decide to make my location look. So, in order to do a heritage site, I think you always have to engage with the property owner and ask them. And I'll give you an example. We talk about Main Street, we talk about the over $1 million that was done resurfacing the front of Main Street, which I think is fantastic because I think we need to preserve that. It looks beautiful. I've seen the changes done with the stone facing and all the other roof that just went on to the, and I know that was mandated independently, but the roof on the funeral home looks fantastic. Absolutely agree with that. What I don't agree with is the fact that if we're going to do that for businesses and property owners on Main Street, we have to have some kind of incentive for the other businesses, because Ward 5 is not just Main Street. Ward 5 is Eagle Street, where there's businesses. Ward 5 is William Rowe, where there's businesses. And I think we cannot just a certain specific area because that is biased. And remember, it's not a Ward 5 issue. Main Street is an entire Newmarket issue. Because whether you live in Ward 5 or you live in Ward 7 or Ward 1, everybody knows Main Street.
Yes, I absolutely am very keen on the heritage program coming to the downtown core, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I was just talking with Peter and Paul this morning that they're back doing an inventory of Main Street and the buildings and making suggestions on how everything can be integrated. My vision for downtown, I would love to see, I think Unionville's done a great job of reproduction architecture, and when new buildings are being built in the core and perhaps throughout Ward 5, if they were to have that reproduction look to them, and even to the lamp standards and to the street furnishings, and would help to blend the old and new together. And also, I've always wanted this, and we've talked about it many times over the years, is to take that theme off along the side streets, east and west and north and south, into the historic neighborhoods, and support the historic neighborhoods, because after all, it's all, it's all one, really. I mean, Main Street might be the heart, but the limbs stretch out to the rest of the ward, and I think it would be fabulous to have the whole historic core dealt with in that way. The street lights changed, and I think it'd be fabulous.
Thank you. Well, taking a walk down Main Street there the other day, I was just amazed how we should keep Newmarket historically involved. We should keep our heritage here. And I had the great pleasure to visit the Heritage Museum, the museum on Main Street there, and look at all the artifacts when we go back in the time into the town of Newmarket, and all the people that were involved and helped building this town, the great town that it was. And we should preserve that at all, and we should let other people see how this town evolved from the early days to the present day it is. So I'm totally for preservation and preservation of Newmarket. As well as the other day, last week, I took a walking tour of the historical district of the town of Newmarket, and I was just amazed at the amount of buildings that was preserved, and we should keep the upkeep of these buildings preserved at all costs, because without that, we can show it to our grandkids and our future legacies beyond. So I'm all for preserving historical Newmarket, keeping the way it is, and we should be happy with the people that helped build the Newmarket, the strong town that it is. Thank you.
Heritage and the heritage of our towns are one of the reasons why I'm here in front of you speaking tonight. I think the first time I ever got involved in terms of ensuring the heritage preservation of Main Street, I think it was a presentation to the local Architectural Conservancy Advisory Committee of the town, also known as Heritage Newmarket, back in 1996. I think it was the winter. And I believe that Ms. Parks, at that time, was the councillor heading it up. And I think I see some familiar faces that sat on the committee on that day that I approached the committee. And I had just actually just got involved with the revitalization of downtown because, after all, I did buy a heritage home that cost me a mint and put me in a big hole in the mortgage because I wanted to live in a heritage district and in an area where we preserve the rich history. Not just that rich history for the town of Newmarket, a rich history for the history of the country. It was here, it was on Main Street, where William Lyon Mackenzie gave the first call to arms for the 1837 rebellion that changed the country the way it is today. It was from here that his grandson gave the first speech on Confederation from the footsteps of the Old Town Hall. So it's not just important to the history of our town and to the heritage of our town to preserve it, but it's important to the heritage of Ontario, to the heritage of Canada, and to the democracy that we're here celebrating today. William Lyon Mackenzie wasn't far from here, giving these type of speeches and giving these types of debate over 200 years ago. And I think we can be proud, and my fellow candidates should be proud, that we're still continuing that tradition. Now, heritage designation of Main Street is going to come with some challenges. That means that it could be a blanket designation for all the property owners downtown. And some of those property owners, and I recall some of them are actually in this room right now, have objected very vociferously to the fact of heritage designation without their input, and they disagreed to be entitled to their buildings. So, again, here is where you need experienced representation. Somebody who's passionate about the Main Street, passionate about the sustainability of the businesses there, passionate about this commercial district, and passionate about heritage, that is able to sit down at the table and come up with compromises so that we can ensure that every building of heritage significance, not just on Main Street, not just within the Heritage District, but within the Alexandria Muir Neighborhood Association, within the west side of Church, that beautiful heritage residential area, that those areas are protected, and that heritage preservation is bought in by everyone that owns a heritage building, and that they don't feel that they're forced to preserve the heritage of their building, but they can celebrate it, and they can be part of it, and they see the benefits, the economic benefits, most of all, because many of us have invested our livelihood in these old buildings and continue on a regular basis, but to ensure an economic benefit to the municipality, a cultural benefit in maintaining our heritage. So whatever it takes, I can guarantee you this, and some members of the council heard me say this before, whatever it takes, the heritage aspects and attributes of this town will be preserved under my watch, I guarantee you.